Okay, third time's a charm. Third time's a charm. So we're talking about the intangibles, the things that are going to take you from being a private pilot or a commercial pilot to a professional pilot, an airline transport pilot, or flying for a corporate department, an airline, a regional airline, or commercial, not commercial, but a major airline. So we've already touched upon this in the past about professionalism. So I'll brush over some of the items we've already talked about in the past. Some of the things that account for your professionalism are how you present yourself when you arrive to work or outside of work, on or off the job. How you conduct yourself is very important. The way you speak, the way you dress, the way you look. You're not just an airline pilot part-time. You're an airline pilot all the time. There are just days off and days that you're on. But you're still expected to maintain a certain behavior, to be composed, to speak, in a certain way, because you never know. People around you hear what you have to say, and it matters, and it impacts the rest of us. It impacts the industry. So part of your professionalism is appearance, attitude, showing up on time. That's something that I personally struggle with. It's not that I'm late, it's that I'm always right on time. And showing up right on time, if you have a 4 o'clock appointment, showing up at 4 o'clock is not on time. And that's my problem. I show up right at 4 o'clock. Just because of the complexities in my life. I've got custody issues. I live far from the airport. I need to stop that. I need to give myself an extra 30 minutes to do what I have to do. That's my personal struggle. On time, ladies and gentlemen, is like Vince Lombardi said. If you're supposed to be there at the latest, 5 minutes prior. That's it. 5 minutes prior. Preferably 15 to 30 minutes prior. There's a different feeling when you get someplace and you're early and you have a chance to, digest the atmosphere and get a little bit more situationally aware of what's happening in the environment. So I understand that that's important. So being on time is something very important. Being prepared for what you're going to do. If you're checking in, to work, whether it's in a Cessna 172 or a Boeing 757, have your equipment ready. If you're supposed to have a flashlight, check your stuff. Make sure you have batteries. If you have a Bose headset, like many of us do now, make sure you have batteries. Make sure you have a fresh set of batteries in case the ones you have are not doing so well. Get a pair of rechargeable batteries. Make that part of your equipment check. Your headset, your license, your medical, your certificates, your company ID. Man, you should get used to having a place where all of this stuff lives all the time. Have a hook at your house where you hang up your lanyard, your remote car keys, your company ID on the lanyard, and any other credentials that need to be with you, so that it's always right next to your uniform. Be prepared by having all of this stuff ready the night before. Don't wait till an hour before your check-in to go iron your clothes. Iron it all the night before. Dress your uniform up. Put on your epaulets, put the tie on it, the jacket on a hanger, have the lanyard hanging up on the hanger and everything, and make sure that it's all there. So when you get up and you shave and you get cleaned up, all you have to do is put that on, grab your bag, which will also have been packed the night before, and then you're good to go. Because these things take time, and these things can cause delays for you and stress. You don't want to be taken out of your zone. You want to be relaxed. You want to be anticipating what's coming. You want to focus on, being clear-headed. You don't want to be worried about, oh, did I forget my ID? Oh my goodness. For all those of you that are already doing the job, how many times did you get halfway down the driveway and realize, oh my goodness, I didn't bring my ID? You got to go back and get it. Or worse, you're already on the highway and you have to drive another 10 minutes to go get it. So all of that is in my opinion, a small thing that goes a long way. The attitude when you arrive, okay, being prepared is understanding that you are a crew of several. If you're in a 777, I don't know, you're probably part of a crew of 10 or 12. If you're in a 737, you're part of a crew of, well, let's see, what is that? 5 or 6, right? So you need a flight attendant for every 50 passengers. So that's how you can calculate how many flight attendants you're going to need and how many pilots. So you could total the amount of the crew. 2 pilots and then 1 flight attendant per 50 passengers. So being prepared also means being aware of the weather, being aware of your surroundings, being aware of the circumstances that are going on. If you give yourself time to arrive there a little bit earlier, you can become situationally aware what's happening with delays. Is your flight going to be delayed? Should you grab something to eat and take with you, because when you arrive at your destination, everything's going to be closed and then you'll be stuck with nothing to eat. Let's see, what other stuff can you... Yeah, situationally aware. Man, I had some notes here, but it's really hard to reference these notes while driving. So let's see. Okay, respecting procedures, peers, instructors, and the flying environment. So respecting your peers, what does that mean? Okay, well, if you're in a Cessna 172 and you're going to meet your instructor for a lesson, it is a real sign of disrespect if you arrive late. It's an even bigger sign of disrespect if you arrive unprepared. Okay? Now, if you arrive on time and you're prepared, meaning that you've reviewed the lesson for the day, that you're caught up, and even preferably arrive with questions, that's being respectful. That is respecting yourself, and that is respecting the time of your instructor. Your instructor has already gone through everything that you're going through. Imagine this poor guy or gal, they've got their certificates and they're trying to build their hours, but they're dealing with a younger person like you, possibly, who, doesn't have it together. You're trying to get to where they are, and they're trying to get to where I am. I mean, you're all trying to get to a higher level, but you have to learn how to walk before you start to run. And making that transition from a private pilot, commercial pilot, to a CFI, there is a transition. Those guys have already walked that path. So it is very important that you respect your instructor's time. You're going to get a lot farther by showing respect and by showing, that you care and your involvement. This is the way it's supposed to be for your training anyway. You want to save money, don't you? Coming in prepared is going to save you every time. It will save you money. It might save you an extra 15-20 minutes of time. Maybe you don't have to cover as much ground. Maybe you don't have to repeat a maneuver. This is money. Time and money. Being prepared and being on time saves you time and money. I promise you, 100%. Those of you that have been working on your private and you're on your 150th hour, I got news for you, okay? That didn't happen by itself. 150 hours when the minimum is 40 hours, you need to check yourself, okay? Now, I know with some 141 programs, it can go a little bit further. On the average, I think people will take 60 to 80 hours to complete a private pilot license. Many have done it in the minimum. Not everybody does, not everybody can, but if it takes you, more than 15 or 20% or even 30% of the minimum, maybe you're responsible for that. There is a learning curve. There is a learning curve where you're changing your attitude, and the common factor here that gets your attention is the money. Because once you start getting in there above 100 hours and you're like, oh geez, I spent a lot of money. Like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Oh man, I just cussed, didn't I? I mean, no kidding, you're not coming in prepared. It's costing you. So here you are working your butt off so you can have more money to fly, but then when you fly, you're not ready, so it costs you even more money. You're wasting your time. You're better off hunkering down, coming prepared like solid for each lesson, and save that money. Okay? Show up on time, show your instructor that you care, and that's showing him respect. Now, if it's at the airline level, it's the same thing. Show up on time, be aware of your surroundings. If you're a captain or a first officer, be aware of the weather, be aware of the aircraft status, be aware of yourself. What is your physical condition? Where are you mentally? Are you sick? Are you fatigued? Did you get enough rest the night before? These are very important questions that you need to ask yourself before you arrive. And part of being a professional is that if you do arrive and you're asking yourself these questions, it's never too late to pull the plug and just say, I recognize I'm tired. I should not be doing this. Because let me tell you, those are the days when stuff happens. Hands down. Every time you come in tired, it just goes downhill. And you're not able to perform at your peak. You're not able to handle things as well as you could have. And you have a responsibility to your fellow coworkers, to your employer, and to the flying public. This is why you get paid. And even as a private pilot, you're not getting paid, but you are the pilot in command. You are expected to make these decisions, to analyze your state of mind, to analyze, if you're physically and mentally capable of conducting that flight, because you could do a lot of damage with a 172. You can hurt other people and property. So you have a responsibility to not put yourself in that position. And as an airline pilot, you are expected to make these decisions. Do not put yourself in a position where you can jeopardize the safety of passengers or equipment. And showing up in a state where you can do that is really disrespectful to your fellow coworkers, to your peers. It's just not appropriate. It's not cool. Don't do it. I mean, at least with our organization, we have a really good fatigue program. If you're fatigued, you are expected to say so. You are fatigued, they don't even ask a question. If you say, I'm fatigued, I just can't do it, you know what? They don't give you a hard time. At the company I work for, they actually shake your hand and say, thank you. We really appreciate that. Because they know if you call fatigue, what are you going to do if you're not feeling well? It's ridiculous to show up in that state just, to make a buck. We get paid really well. There'll be other times to make additional money. Oftentimes you can use your sick time for a fatigue call. you're still going to get paid. You're not doing anyone any favors by showing up tired. But if you do show up tired and without proper sleep, without proper rest, and then you have an incident where you bend some metal or you go off the end of a runway, they're going to investigate and they're going to find out, because we do so much in our phones and social media and on the internet. They're going to look at your stuff and they're going to usually go back 72 hours. They're going to go back and they're going to look at everything you did. And they're going to see, okay, the night before he had 3 hours of sleep. The night before that, he only had 5 hours of sleep. And the night before that, he was out partying on the layover. God knows, it doesn't build a good case for you. And you can be criminally liable. So keep that in mind. You are a professional. There is an expectation of you. Okay? Let's see. Having a good attitude. That is such a big deal. Having a good attitude when you come to work. If you're rested, you're going to be peppy, you're going to be happy, you're going to be more involved with the people you work with. If you're tired, what do you think you're going to be doing? Man, all you're thinking about is, what time do I get to the hotel so that I could go to sleep? That's the only thing on your mind. You're dragging. You are dragging. And trust me, a 200,000-pound airplane doing 500 knots or landing at 180 knots, that's not the place to be dragging, especially when you're landing in short runways or wet fields. Not the place. Do yourself and everybody else a favor and just stay home. For real, just stay home. You're not helping anybody going to work in that condition. Your presence is required, but you're required to be there in a good state of mind. We don't need just a warm body to show up. So, let's see. Enough of that. Let me see what else I can touch on while I'm stuck in traffic. How about situational awareness? Understanding what's happening in the cockpit, the airspace, and the weather. Well, how do you figure that? How can you do that? Well, let's see. You can brief yourself. We have all kinds of tools on ForeFlight. We use ForeFlight. We use Jepson Weather Services. I think the old 1-800-WX brief still works. That's what I used to use on my drives home, and I still use it from time to time. For those of you that don't know, just call 1-800-WX brief, weather brief. And while you're in your car, just have a conversation. Just have a conversation with the fella reading the weather, and ask him, hey, I'm going to be flying from here to here. I would like a weather briefing. I would like your opinion as to whether this is a recommended day for a student pilot. If you need help making that decision to go or no go, ask him specifically what you want. I'm going from Kissimmee to Ocala, and I'm looking at the weather patterns. I don't have a map in front of me, but can you tell me about what the weather looks like now in Kissimmee and what it's going to look like when I arrive in Ocala? What's happening in the next 2 or 3 hours between here and Ocala, between Kissimmee and Ocala? Give me a weather briefing. Give me a synopsis of what's happening in the area. What are the winds going to be like? Are there any NOTAMs? Talk to me about the NOTAMs. Tell me if there's anything that's not going to be available to me when I get there. Do they have fuel? Are all runways open? You have an airman's information manual, but that you can look a lot of these things up. And this weather briefing addressing the NOTAMs and all of this in advance before you even get to the airport is a great start. When you go to the airport, look at your usual tools, but this is a conversation that you can have with a weather briefer. And they can give you an honest opinion and give you an idea of what the the terminal forecast may be, you know, for the next 6 hours, and can help you make a decision. If you have a long drive, you definitely should be checking the weather before you blast off and get in your car, you know, and before you blast off and get in your car and go someplace, just to arrive and not be able to, oh dang, there's the gas station that I need. I do need to get some gas. I'm in the amber, which means that I have 48 miles till empty. I hate driving my car like this because you never know. I don't want to be that guy. Anyhow, that's part of situational awareness, boys and girls. Preventing it before it happens. So I'm off the highway right now. I see a gas station right there. It's going to take me probably 7 to 10 minutes to get off of this road. This is like the heart of, I think they call this the four corners. This is the heart of traffic right here. There's bumper to bumper in all four directions. It's painful just looking at it. But if I got stuck on the highway with no gas, that would be a worse situation, especially in uniform on the way to work. How dumb would that be? So see, this is another prime example why planning to be at work early, about 30 minutes early, is going to help. Now I have a 30-minute buffer. I could take care of this gas situation and avoid maybe not even making it to work on time. So you know what? Since we're talking about decision making and we're talking about situational awareness, we just kind of talked through it a little bit, and we have what we call at the company I work for a shared mental model. That means that we're on the same page. We've talked it through. You're not here for me to bounce it off of you, but this is how we do in the cockpit. We discuss an issue. Like in this case, we're talking about gas. We talk about contingency plans in case, you know, it gets to that minimum level. Well, right now I am in that minimum level. This is min fuel, guys. That's a minimum fuel is a term that we use for air traffic control to let them know that we cannot accept any delays. We need priority handling because we are at our minimum fuel. Any additional delays will cause us to have to go to our alternate airport. We are at our minimum. Okay? And then of course, emergency fuel, you've already made that decision, and you are going to land below the level that you anticipated landing with and having your reserve fuel. So you're already in your reserve fuel. You're eating into that. So keep that in mind. So I'm at min fuel right now. Dang it, I can't do a U-turn here. I'm at min fuel, and I'm gonna make a pit stop, and I'm gonna get some gas because it's my own fault. When I was driving home yesterday and I saw that I had low level, I should have added that gas. I can't remember what was going on. I usually don't allow my car to get this low in gas, but I have nobody else to blame but myself. So being situationally aware is important. Knowing what's happening in airspace, aside from the weather, you need to know what's happening in the airspace. Is the president going to be in town? Okay. Are there flight delays because of that? If you're flying to Ocala, can you fly over Disney? Are the military operation areas active? Are the restriction areas active? So on and so forth. Airspace. Are there delays, as there usually are? And for those of you that are airline pilots, know what I'm talking about here. Are there going to be delays with the Jacksonville Center again? The other day I was stuck in Orlando International for 7 hours waiting because there were 40 airplanes ahead of me for takeoff. We didn't even leave the gate Why leave the gate? You can't do that. So being aware of what's happening with the airspace. Luckily for me, the company I work for, they do such a fantastic job. We have dispatchers that we coordinate with, and so they already had all this figured out, before I even arrived. So all I have to do is become aware and, understand what's happening, having position awareness, and and using the tools that they provide for me. So I am going to add gas. So I'm going to pause my phone for a little bit, and then we will continue to talk. Thank you for your attention. Stand by.